Zato Canada Japan. Omuni omudo manuato Ahmed Suale the case in Omuni rule and worker. Papaya then even that's we on bon common. Enti mummy here.
Gentleman to the Ghanaian public killed him. That's the accusation.
See, with all due respect to you journalists in this country, about 80%, 90%, you are the people going to destroy this country.
How so?
Yeah, because you misconstrue people's ideas. Whatever the person puts out there, the import of what the person puts out there, you never even analyze it. You only take just a second of a statement made out of the whole statement, let's say 8 minutes. You take about 30 seconds.
What were you trying to describe in that video?
Yeah. And as to my
Ahmed Suale ni issue e yan rekopa say miminim asem no head to tail. Like I don't know all the details. And besides, when it comes to this political atmosphere, I'm just an amateur. This is the Anti-Partisan network. Johnson ye. Enti me share the way Roland Walker is presenting a question in mark in Japan now. What you say? Or person pass a man. Like that's what take his side. Into or no person justifying. I'm as well in a same see. I finish started pointing fingers. Me say prior to really a lawyer in America pra. Enti maybe I should say prior to Ahmed Suale ni baby one. Say Canada Japan could leak in the pictures. On one TV station or something like that. Say I'm unfortunate or bonus in the visa. By also according to also say as Ahmed Suale no will be all taking advantage of or no. In a way, say or person set you more up in the process. Say on only back Canada Japan chain eba register school fees car, but not secretly one tiger eye and as a nurse and a year juma. Or to the point say or pursue evidence be a to me there incriminating in the Japan. Until that is the reason why I know equal cars answer no say ni picture ni abranti in the picture say what why an investigation until say one betchen no bono and answer mon police. I mean share them myself crowd kind by on say the way I present and see frame question on can the Japan will be taking advantage of just any pakwana per se a sting operation to say or per se what they pay evidence second in the Japan air depony into because of an intino or pretend they eba chain eba bejiska say under the pretense say school fees but not secretly or pay evidence and also why you mama and answer that guy by Sanya Canada Japan is presenting the side. So if that is the side or no represent here, now questions are presented and a bisana. So and into the man can say presenters and I say a journalist on what Ghana say take a snip and says 10-20 seconds now Oma present it. So they don't get the full context of it. And now Oma presented the full context of it. They are sowing confusion among the people. Like I can see how that can be agreeable because as someone on the kai on the side of the story on the kai, you won't me and like won't me ignore. You cannot dispel because on there the first person, on there the first victim in this issue. On na yebabe ubi yebabe pay evidence at the criminalizing fine. I do not mean I am not against that. Journalism work I am supported 100%. But here's the case. What you say in Nipano or you're innocent so like according to law you are innocent until proven guilty. And now what you say on by some investigation in the area Nipano innocent swear not is ska omoji in kutia school fees in extortion wajini sika kwa sort and say at the same time not sound so the work money any enemy until you can understand how frustrated this man can be. But at the same time I can understand how this can serve as a motive obetimi akwakwede akokum nipa ko by mimi nyesho say story na papa na present according to the you on no sukoko leaking pictures can say following incident nipa ni wu there be nipa no nya sa me nya sure say one no be shada kwa kuliki evidence air tie on to being dead like to the whole country to see like intentionally. I don't think in Japan a person who is contesting for the president of the country would do something as stupid as that. And to me name the reason why people are trying to like navigate the whole story using this narrative, say politically influenced. So, but at the same time, ebia me can say any politically influenced, but ebia any political influence. But see focus ni na kwa kujina one place say by force nipa we na ye. Enti recently na yet said omunya suspect bi oma grilling for a while, but oma jano because say omunche that need some solid evidence bia ebe mana ombetimi dey accuse no or omusi evidence omunya and say omu cross check time frame no ono ne phone, the cell phone was found at the location of the murder. Like I said, during the time of the murder, omu tracing the phone, omu say sadam na the phone wo, but ono akasa dey no ni ho. Because of society evidence, necessarily just strong into, they had to let him go. Maybe kwame said that him here like crabby pen and but if I can be able to sort of like extract this kind of information and understanding from it, then and you be never catch me say I don't know minchusi side and answer my minchusi side. Nyankasa you can use common sense and see say I don't know ebia your dream who become one and I say if we sort of like you also consider other aspects and I say like be something. But it should not be only political. If it's political, they should maintain some narrative, no problem. But at the same time, almost also consider other angles. There's a reason why I didn't cause for CCS. They haven't solved it. So if it is indeed say politically influenced, and we are sure say Kabana come solve it. Would they want to ask of political whatever? Me, I do not know the kind of life the guy lived, but he's a human being. We are all human beings. We are all Ghanaians. It can happen to me. It can happen to everybody. This thing that I'm doing, it's possible that something can happen to me too. I'm trying to stay neutral to both sides. I don't want to be on any side. I just want to contribute through the mind frame of a common sense, like of a common person, a person with common sense. I understand that I haven't been to like school, like the tertiary, as much as the professors and all these big people. But I think that we can all appreciate the availability and the need for common sense, which originates from our households. We all appreciate the presence of it and we all recognize it, we all recognize it as to be as superior as this intelligence and knowledge that these people they acquire from these universities. What I'm trying to say is we have people who have been to school, they have their professors and stuff, but they are not as intelligent as somebody who hasn't been to school. And we have people who we have the same thing for both sides. And at the same time, we have people who are rich, but they are stupid. We have people who are not rich, but they are quite intelligent. It's the same thing. So we can find some here and then we can find some here. So I'm just trying to approach this using my common sense of mind frame to sort of like break everything that they are saying down, because the big words they are saying is too much. Most of them doesn't make sense. So let's continue.
Because I will not come here today and tell you that I want to be president and therefore what is the truth, I'll say is not the truth. It is. He's a bad guy, or he was. And let me tell you, if you don't have the evidence, Anas used them.
How did he use him?
Good. All those people that Anas destroyed with his videos and everything, Anas never showed his face, except this guy. This guy was bold to set everybody up. I have a lot of videos. Gentlemen, if you have time and you come to my house, I'll show you all the videos. With the exception of the Ivorian videos that I have, that you see Anas's face after the interview with the Ivorian ministers that he was entrapping. All the entrapment it was Ahmed Suale who was sitting down with some fake Arabs who were saying that they were from the family of Sheikh Atani. So until a video comes out, you will never know that is an ass. But you know that...
Second Japan. This is called undercover reporting. And undercover reporting, sometimes there are simulations that are undertaken to make sure you test the character of the person, to get the best out of...
Oh, you see, say, well, Walker, the reason why I'm saying, say, questions now will be I say, why you see side kaka? Because, listen, journalism now, you can't answer. And you want to buy you, it has been there in existence since I was young. You were quite a fast young. When you journalism, this is vigilantism. I want people to like sort of like put the proper title on it. Yeah, I'm not saying a vigilantism. One way, he's going to get everybody that, like every person in his family, every relate, obia. Because like if you make enemies with a bad enough person, I'm sure the consequences will be much bigger than this. You understand? Me, I do not want to say I support or do not support vigilantism. You'll be a person in life, baby. You can do that, but like. Say you don't want to sort of like practice your philosophy of life on account of others. Like if you believe say everything in life must be taken, you are a thief, like you live by this philosophy, then you should not be living your life on my account. Maybe we are mad here just to satisfy your philosophy of life. Like you understand. So what I'm trying to say is if you want to do something with your life, then you have to make sure like you are not hurting people in the process, because we are all trying to move forward. We are all trying to move. I understand how the world is structured, but I think if sometimes we step across the boundaries that we are supposed to be in, like we are supposed to operate in legally or allowably. Let me just use that phrase. So we are bros, then it means maybe there are some sanctions. Maybe there's a reason why we are supposed to operate within that border. So if you do that, there are some sanctions that should have now consequences. I'm not trying to say you'll be a BBR by force. I will avenge myself or something like that. And I say, yeah, this is what happened in that situation. I'm just trying to say that the world there's consequences for everything that we do. So sometimes, I do not know the full story, just like I said. I don't know everything. How it all ended like this. Because this is quite weird. It's quite weird and quite interesting. And so much to the point that the person of interest, the person of most interest, is like when you look at it from the common sense of we, it's like it's innocent. Like I hope you understand, because if this is really politically influenced, and then I think one of the top suspects will be Kennedy Dapon, and if this was personally influenced. At the same time, he will be one of the top suspects. So you can see that he appears here. Like there's an intercept there, which makes him like the probability of him being the number one suspect higher. So I can understand why people are sort of like going at him, and why people are sort of like use him to defame the MPP name or sort of like boost their NDs. Like I can understand the publicity theater of it all. So let's continue.
Of the person, try to make a conclusion in a story. It's not wrong.
But he say
it has given you the image that you don't love journalists.
I don't care.
You discriminate against journalists, even though you employ some.
I employ people like you. And how would I say, would you say that I don't like them?
Not when you issue threats to them.
And how do I issue threats? You think you are the only human being who are blood in you because you're a journalist? I'm afraid. I mean,
come on. Like you can't just perform under the guise that you are a journalist, so you can sort of like poke your nose into other people's matters. That is what journalists do. That is what they do. That is why most of the time they get killed. It is a very brief job. Like a very brief, you have to be very passionate to do it. Like especially those war journalists. Jesus. They like, I mean, I'm not saying that they die gruesomely, but like a soldier is like trying to sacrifice his life or at least something similar. But you see, a journalist is just trying to like cover the story. A journalist is just the camera. But you see, this camera has a life and then it can die. So this camera is exposing itself to the same danger that these people who has to be trained, the military people, they have to be trained. Yes, has to go under very sheer and severe conditions to ensure their survival. But you did not receive any of this training. You were just there because of your passion. Like, so you can imagine how dangerous this kind of job is. So you can also imagine how dangerous it is if you make enemies with people who you are not supposed to make enemies with. Like, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Like, one, you are not supposed to make enemies with good people. Like, good people, what do they do to you? And you're not supposed to make enemies with bad people too, because bad people, they will get you killed. So you're not supposed to make enemies with anybody. You're not supposed to make it. Generally, nobody. So you are a journalist. You all watch Superman, Lois Lane. She's a journalist. She's very intrusive. But whenever she's caught, if she has to apologize, she apologizes, and then they move on. Because there's always a story. There's always a story. And every day comes, and you have to be alive every day to be able to cover the story that comes every day. So I don't know why it's like, I don't know, because it's like he's trying to offend Kennedy Agyapong, and right now I can see Kennedy Agyapong sort of like defending himself. So,
because this man, if you know the number of people that have been killed, if you know the number of people that have lost their jobs, we have to be fair to all those families that Anas and Ahmed Suale set them up. You see, you didn't let me finish. It was Ahmed Suale. You are talking about undercover.
Yes, undercover.
Undercover. So why didn't he, Ahmed Suale, also cover himself?
Because
he
it's
was
undercover.
there. No, you are saying undercover, but Ahmed Suale was there physically.
So it was a sting operation.
He will tell you.
It was a sting operation.
Edubuahi, he will tell you. Call these ministers.
So why did you expose a gentleman to the Ghanaian public? Ultimately,
like you see the kind of questions that he's asking. You can see that Kennedy Agyapong was offended. Something happened to him. Maybe you can ask him, maybe what makes me a bad guy? Oh, what did he do to? You understand, sort of like, so that we can sympathize with him. No, but still he's trying to demonize him by asking him questions, like asking questions. I think I can see a little bit of Don Lemon in him. Roland Walker, Don Lemon. We have our own version of Don Lemon. Wonderful.
Accusation is that it got him killed.
How did he get him killed? His own deeds killed him, not me.
All right.
What I said was that the first video I showed, you see, why I have a problem with some journalists and you think I don't have it. There are a series of videos. You've taken only this one. The first one, when I mentioned Ahmed Suale, my workers came to me, oh, Honorable, you don't know this guy. This guy has been here for school fees. You gave him 1,500 cedis to go and pay his school fees. And I said, I don't know him. So they said, oh, he has been coming here all the time. So the first video, then I said, this guy is a bad guy. If he comes here, beat him up.
I think that's enough grounds. Like, if somebody is extorting you, well, like, it's not like cannot get a person killed. That's what I'm trying to say. Say all the things that they are trying to use as evidence, and I said trying to sort of like make Ubia believe the second Japan. Yes, it's like any man in public. And any pan also on the year, or plan send and come in public. Because when him say yes, if you know, on the first person they ever point your finger. On the first person will be ever suspect. It's evidence or with them you see say in a Soviet so. And once on one casana, I said, maybe the American loyalty. But no a card if I say incriminated because I said, okay, so I'm watching our money. Hey, so Casa say, no, I want here. I think so they will get the idea. But at the same time, I can sort of like respect how honest he is, like how raw he is. Like it doesn't really matter. He's just telling you the truth. Sasana won't dream by yourself and you, and you see ya no matter catcher. Me any pan no the media go, no, or the might be diago, and I'm catching will say, Massa, who so team is sick and watching our mono, or by you are watching our mono, one can so much no moon, or so much our moon like a moon palm no money free. Inti, median come with you, and I'm just sure sending lawyers so bad advising. By one say a personal issue, a kind of like. You see, what I say, me first when you respect the film, it dangerous so better because if you do that, you're making your case worse. So, but still now say, you see how he's sort of like seeing this in the public eye. It's like still now catcher when you say being incriminating, but still now catcher. And so because I say we say yeah, Sankofu we say but assassin with a snippet one. No one can say, hey, and no see evidence or can't see and Nancy. By so obey and one cat. Into the million trust.
Subsequently was killed. And the main suspect has now been discharged. That's the latest. Now we'll tell you what the court said and the position. I don't know whether it's the position of the AG. It looked like, because the court says that the AG has dismissed the case or has made a decision to discontinue the case, so to speak. And we also know that based on the advice of the AG's office, remember this is all the advice of the AG's office, the call records place the accused person's phone in the vicinity where the deceased was killed. However, the presence of the accused in the vicinity based on his phone's location alone, according to the court, was not sufficient to charge him with the murder of the deceased. Though it is stated in the police report that the accused was in the vicinity of the deceased on the day of the killing to monitor his movement, that also remains an inference until further evidence is discovered or adduced. Additionally, none of the sketches of the assailants.
So if there's evidence there, he was in the vicinity to monitor the victims and movements, their movements and activity. Yeah, I think that one too is a very big evidence. A bit more support to cycling, say. But then again, I still fail to see how a Canadian Japan and this suspect will say they are tied.
So generated by the police, based on the vivid descriptions of eyewitnesses, resembled the accused person. Neither has the investigation established that the accused was one of the assailants who shot the deceased. Remember, the assailants who shot the deceased were on a motorbike. Neither also has the investigation established that the accused was one of the assailants who shot the deceased, and that also repeated subsequently as well. Now, although the accused person could be an abettor, there must be adequate evidence to show that he was in the vicinity to abet the murder.
But abettor just say be were tied to it, like were play a role in the person's death. Say be say you person ko kidnap you be near you go shooting on desert ebia you be here car and say be here driver you be here nipa be me no a mess back up person say back up son na e be chiche no enti near here ebia leader na gunman enti leader no although on the operating crime but omo maka although they are equally responsible but aiding and abetting so can just omo boy into us just say or ebia na nipa no ebia nyon na ye by oboy nkrofobi that means that's abetting
of the deceased. And the evidence presented to the office is indicating that this could not be sufficient enough to charge the accused person with the abetment to murder and murder in itself. Beatrice.
Thank you very much. I think that this is it's not a very interesting development.
So why highlighting the feel about a platform non to expressing the idea. So these are the very bright mind who went to Roland in the show a TV station bepu me it's TV3 TV3 so say omo kwa come as well in one so it would me mention the name be but video kakaya am shaking and only education enough enti afi ye ba be hwe say enkofu ye omba be kase so omo the partisan perspective na be kasa na so omo fa partisan perspective na be kasa starting with the Beatrice never be or the never be starting when you my tea nyina yo enema kenele Japan kan evidence am present any BPA so they maintain him woman or babeka
if you ask me, but as a lawyer from where I sit, I can understand what is happening. It's not enough that you go to court with something that is not so weighty, especially when the offense or the charge is murder, because then you have the maximum sentence to be imposed. And I think that they haven't even done so much, and over the years they've been going back and forth. And while we talk about the
it mind you nya okan nyana say evidence be any ho evidence be any who air point is suspect na releasing this year like make evidence na omunya emu sheda nyedu emu ha but apart from say evidence be any who be air point be to be in conclusion is case no apart from recent discovery and our suspect na enya tracy the phone baby and during the time of the murder monitoring apart from some information and seeing within time and 70 ABC in 6 years should be and in your no person channel say a yard was evidence no that you do into court night day aboy a yard was the evidence be any who like I want to make that point very clear. Say evidence be any, but
it brings me very bad memory of where we have come from as a country.
What? How do you mean?
I feel, and I mean not to remind the families of Ahmed Suale of their pain and everything, but I made a point yesterday that today we are enjoying a certain refreshing environment when it comes to governance. Today, when I look at when I listen to radio stations and watch TV stations, journalists have the right to express editorial opinions without fear or favor, without having to fear for their lives. And while I say this, I sadly recount some of the cases like Kaka, who had to lose his life. Why? Because he expressed an opinion. And
who is Kaka?
You have so many in
please, if anybody knows who Kaka is, can comment below, or I'll just look it up myself. Let's continue.
In recent past, you have tags storming media houses, or MPP tags storming media houses. You had governments being the enablers, and even the video you played, Kennedy Ejapon himself, who is the front runner. I tip him to win over Dr. Baumia.
You tip him to win over?
Yes. I think that he would be within the MPP, maybe a more credible candidate.
I'm not too sure.
But we'll come. But we'll come
to Zato will agree with
yes. I know he's about me, but we'll come to that. And some of the very unguarded statements they made merely because they had access to screens and microphones, and practically put the lives of people at risk. Today, the then MPP government went to court without any solid evidence, without conducting the right investigation. And I've been reading a number of things from the spouse.
And then I get me a fast me. I know partisans is here. Like so when was in the word salad ne covered this year. Hey, I don't know. You put out Ahmed Suale and you won I didn't see. What do you think about it? Oh, say yeah. Oh, maybe I bet me I find justice. Oh, like they know what's starting. I will blame me a month for. The Ben journalist the organ and say start to see kunkum. Hey, medium in you.
I mean, from the families of Ahmed Suale is not a good thing. And I spoke to the Attorney General yesterday, and he assured me that he was going to pay attention to the case.
You mean Dr. Dominic
Ayeni himself? He assured me that he was going to pay attention to the case. He assured me that he was going to make sure that whatever needs to be corrected is corrected. Because what happens is that normally the Attorney General gives a fiat to state prosecutors, I mean police prosecutors, to do some of these things, especially when it's at the district level. And so when it is escalated to his desk, he would do something about it. And I encourage the Attorney General
how did they escalate?
We shouldn't let this case just go like that. We must bring...
Like, even my question is, how did they even make that recent discovery? Because it has been 6 years. So how did they, like, all of a sudden discover that they have a suspect, and that suspect, his phone was found at the crime scene during at that time or prior to it, and they are now discovering, like, I don't understand. I don't understand a lot of things that is going on. This is a big issue. Like, if they can stop with the partisan for just 1 minute, just 1 minute, just it's okay. Let's just use common sense and sort of like agree to see where we can disagree, because I think these people, they agree and disagree on the same things. Nah. If I'm like, you watch something.
The perpetrators to justice, because we cannot continue to allow the MPP to create the impression that it is okay for journalists to be attacked. We cannot continue to build a society where we think that it is fine for people not to have dissenting opinions. I have been doing a lot of media appearances.
Like, this a political party be attacking journalists. Meaning say political violence, it is rampant, especially during election times. I know that. I'm not going to be ignorant about it. To say in the Garden of Eden, violence, I'm sure, say even up to now, it is going on somewhere. There's violence going on everywhere, somewhere at every time, and I hope, say, one day we can sort of like ensure peace everywhere by meaning to say some political party be a fatwa or say ombe attack journalists. Like, me sure say it goes on. I'm sure it goes on. The big men, the ministers, so we don't shut up boys. We don't. I'm sure it goes on. But me shouldn't say about a headline to say the mammy can. And so far, me share Kennedy Japan will and work our more conversation. And shut down me move. The only thing I need woman here a personal making it Japan. Like, it was personal for him. It was an attack on him. Like, I don't see where the partisan comes inside. So just because of say Papa no ba be recent flag bearer and we see say as a time in a coincidence. One more announcing a flag bearer na and a case for like 6 years. So yes, me akwa ku make recent discoveries see asanso abeta no abo papa go see. So into one that kind of political narrative ni influence. Yes, now ma am I near my be the confusion be pre ba. Enti we dey just for once. We dey just for once. And common for parties and some tonche. Now common find the justice Emma Ahmed Suale and the busi for. We then come in with and commit my son. We continue.
One of the questions one of your sister station asked me was that Dumelevel is a member of your government. He has expressed a contrary opinion. And I made a certain point forcefully that over the past 8 years, we lived in an environment that was practically gagged. And so people are not used to the fact that even within the same party, even within the same team, dissenting opinions should be allowed. And that merely because you dissented does not mean that you disapprove.
Only evidence is
if you listen to some of the unprintable words that the MPP are using on themselves, Have you seen the 16 sins of Dr. Baumia?
16 sins?
16 sins. He only had 16. Brian Champon had 10. Kennedy Japan had 10. But as
you mean their internal presidential
if you look at how...
Well, somebody will say that's internal.
Yes, that's internal. But it's a micro reflection of what they would do when they are given power. Because even amongst themselves...
It's according to Sahara theory, according to Sahara explanation, that means that we be as own contoquada. It is what contoquada they are in a amount of power over you super one basa. Now they know the argument to be. Oh, it's like they're always trying to like define something. They're always trying to like sort of like modify the truth behind principles. Say, hey, now maybe. And to among for personal issue, question you busa and say, Ahmed Suale new paper news are recent discovery near the idea pay. What does she think about it? So far, any more kind you want Ahmed Suale din back pay. Nya can you na partisans them MPP wait.
With my party person, Dr. Samiaye, he's my friend. When we have disagreements internally, we should not be insulting ourselves using unprintable words. Why? Because we have a common opponent to fight. So if we cannot tolerate our views, if we cannot agree to disagree, if we cannot have a very we cannot exercise some restraint in our discussion. We can imagine what we'll do when we have power. These guys, when they had power, you could not, they say who born dog? You could not even express a contrary opinion. You are not even allowed to investigate corruption. In the past NDC government, you saw Manasseh, and I'll say it, and Manasseh disagrees with me. Some of the stories he made about a confirmed flying and whatever, those stories were very baseless, like the flood expedition and all that. He is on record to have said that even the NDC government asked for protection for him because we recognize how sometimes the base will react. In the MPP, today we are having to discuss Ahmed Suale. What was the crime of Ahmed Suale? What was his offense? That as an undercover journalist, he was part of a team that was uncovering a role.
But Munim said, as a matter of fact, I'm saying I no undercover journalist, no almost no a cameraman. Like Mr. Video recently. The lawyer, and the court use the or present a chat in the BBI. Ahmed Suale no journalist, he was a cameraman. And like me mentioned the reason why these people, even though they know this, Mimi Pokwa meaning some information. I'm sure these people they know even more than myself. And they know some information now. Like they know all these facts. But still now, one person more than near partisans. Like I don't understand the reason why they do that. I don't understand why. They are sort of like controlling a narrative, like sort of like make somebody a bad person. I don't understand. Are they afraid of the guy? Because I do not have a party. But it's just like personality studies. Then once you start to compare and sort of like connect and understand, sort of so that you can maintain memory. If you want to say, maybe I can see say, who Donald Trump needs to make a crowd. So you will see pay business and entrepreneurship and so they will see how aggressive, you see kind of clear, like where you're raw, where you're straightforward, and all my wounds is seen this animal. I can see that in him. And the reason why I'm saying is like I can use it to store memory is that you see when I combine them, they become one person. If they have the same behavior, that means say they may treat you that I'll treat the same person the same way. It's just a psychological compartmentalization stuff. Anyway, so also you can see say even though so one more information, they are trying to behave as if say they don't know this information. So now the narrative that they want, that's what they want to move on with. Like I don't understand the reason why they do that, and I don't know how it will serve them. Like it will serve them, because I'm sure definitely every action that we do or perform, we do it for a benefit. So I'm sure they do it for something. So let's continue as we educate ourselves in the Ghanaian political spectrum, which is quite theatrical.
And somehow a possible flag bearer of the MPP was not happy with him, or that some members of the MPP were not happy. and displayed his picture on TV, asking people to do what they think they want to do to him. He lost his life. And I want
he said that
I want to hear Dr. Zato on this. I really want to hear Dr. Zato on this because I want to know what possible defense when some of these things happen.
The accusation you are making this pointedly is that within the MPP period,
a lot happened.
There was a culture of silence or perceived culture of silence.
There was a culture of silence.
It was actually a real culture of silence, not just.
Hey! No, like during MPP time, nobody was silenced. It's like nobody really cared because Okasani and Figu. There was no perception of silenceness. Nobody was silent. Your man, he was the emperor who was not authoritative by the ignorant kind. Oh, view, like, and family, maybe that was the vibe I was getting from Nana. Oh, who mind you? Like, you can auntie. But when he never told anybody to shut up or anything like that, or silence anybody. So I don't sort of like, hey.
That's culture of silence. It is as if your freedom of speech is guaranteed, but your freedom after speech was not guaranteed.
Hey.
And so you could speak because you may not know what will be the action or inaction of government. But after
as someone who can, they say it's the same thing to everybody. So, like you're trying to say that actions and words don't have consequences. Of course they do. So, who can't be born for being one? Definitely. If so, can't be papa for being one. If you say something neutral to about somebody, like nobody can be, it depends on you. But maybe I do not recall to say Matuwa headlines would that say politicians they attack journalists, like maintain that journalists they only boost the politicians in the field. So I don't know.
Is that not the same government that the likes of Solomon Owusu and the people left because their dissenting opinions were not welcomed? And so if the likes of Alan Shermanton and very big fishes could leave the MPP because they said that the country was headed in the wrong direction, let's do the right thing. Even then they dealt with them.
Evidence
you saw how Afoko, who is a member of the MPP internally, was dealt with. Afoko was kept in prison. Sometimes I don't even want to mention the Afoko. One day when I went to a client at BNI and I saw Afoko, I had to bow my head in shame. And today,
Afoko?
Yes,
or
Gregory Afoko. As for Paul Afoko and Kwabere Japo, what happened to them? At least they should be thankful that they are not behind bars or they don't have acid. They've not been bathed in acid.
Hey.
They should be grateful. The MPP consistently have demonstrated that they are not a political party that understand the tenets of democracy. And so it is so sad that today we have to be discussing Ahmed Suale and the fact that the state prosecutors have had to discontinue the case. Because it means that even at the time they were going to court, Godfrey Dami was going to court, he had not put, things...
Like, you see, that's the reason why I say women make for excellent lawyers. Like, they make for excellent lawyers. Especially in criminal cases, like they can pretend they are like very excellent victims. Like women, they are between the sexes, a man and a which one is weak? So obviously that is their trump card. They are excellent when it comes to being like the victim. I am the prey, I'm the weak kind, because that's their nature. They are actually quite weak, and the men are the protectors and the providers. That is how the natural order of things work. So you can see that this madam, she's like, apart from Ahmed Suale being the victim, she has sort of like victimized other things or faction that is related to her, and she has sort of like drawn the enemy, not the enemy of Ahmed Suale, because nobody really knows if Ahmed Suale was an NPP or an NDC. Nobody really knows. This is a very important breakthrough, because nobody really knows if Ahmed Suale was an NDC or NPP. The only thing that they know is he had a beef with an NPP member, a high NPP member, and then he died. So therefore, like that is the only evidence that they have. So they tie this thing to the NPP member, and then they tie it to the enemy, which is the NPP itself. So they have become victims too. So now they have to like feel afraid, because the NPP is capable of like sort of like removing people who are in the obstacles in the shape and form of human beings who work as journalists. So now, since journalism is all about speaking the truth and voicing your opinions, now that everybody is capable of speaking the truth, I am telling you, everybody is capable of speaking the truth now. So I think if we Ghanaians, we start to do that, it will help us a lot, including these politicians. So in their perspective, they feel like they are capable of telling the truth, even though I think sometimes they don't. But in their perspective, that's what they think. So they feel threatened. So this would assume that if indeed they are speaking the truth, then they should be threatened. But if they are not, then they are just pretending. So that is what makes this like a whole theater, because they are pretending. You know that this is not true, because there hasn't been a major news line about politicians or MPPs who are going after people who are criticizing them. Like I haven't heard anything like that. So and everything that she's saying is speculative, and speculative is normally subjective. So let's just continue with the video.
Well, how were we expecting Dr. Dami to investigate your second flag bearer, potential, what's his name? Kennedy Japan. How were we expecting them within the same party? How were we expecting them to conduct a very thorough investigation? And so I'm very optimistic, and I want to follow this case and encourage Dr. Ayine that we have to bring justice and we have to bring some closure to the families of Ahmed Suale, not just Ahmed Suale. When we talk about these things, we can link them to electoral violence. 8 people who lost their lives. It was as if under the NPP, it was just not the macroeconomic issues, our lives, our liberties, and everything. Today, it feels so refreshing. It feels so refreshing waking up and knowing that you can express your opinion, you can come and say anything, and you walk out and you don't have to look back, you don't have to do anything. It is just.
Anyone recently who started someone attacking freedom of speech, see. Nancy, one your crab 2-3 times people. I'm here and Casavity when you want Kwamsi Fakai, Mr. Kwamsi Fakai, and Casakwaye be on the radio stations. Like, I don't understand this. Like, also, you see, the double standards to is there. And Yama Okaina, that election violence, meaning it happens under everybody's government. It is motivated. Mimi, I don't really know the motivation behind like election violence. To say you are going to vote for somebody. Like, why would you go and find somebody else? I didn't go there to fight or vote. So just vote and go. The fighting part, I don't know how to say, like, you can just pretend. Just the next day, catch any partner, some any pattern pride. Like, so election violence, personally, I find it very mystical because it's not necessary. And somehow, the reason why I'm will say, like, a person who use double standard and find justify like a Nemana worker. You know very well that this animal will say it happens, a problem, it happens, anyways, like people die. I'm sure accidents happen all the time. And Americans, Ahmed Suale New God rest his soul. Like, I don't really know the full story, but there's a possibility, say, he wasn't politically influenced. There's a possibility, say, maybe his personal life caught up to him. There's a possibility, say, maybe a stray bullet. Like, there's other possibilities that they can sort of like explore by. I said, oh my God, the homo focus in politics, and say, like, me, I don't know the reason why they have done that. And just from myself, I can see, say, sometimes I see an NPP for net so. By MPP for no matter than investigation, and to no person just say, sometimes an NPP for net so, Papa see MPP. That's the reason why I mentioned an investigation. It's a fena and it's for a person. And it's for my investigation to no matter me and discover say, only make his recent discovery say. But I mean the reason why yet a Ghana, a police, a soldier, a wine, and this in the MPP. Like, and also see our sad new rooms are like, I don't know about Uber, yes, okay. maybe the reason why I started this maybe it be government motivation. Government be about there's a certain way of us operating, and I say there's a motivation, and I say there's some certain amount of motivation here or they back the processes, and I say the ins and outs of the government operations. Inti ubetimi aka say we be a government we buy on the focus for her it will motivate this and normal we see. I understand that if you have betimi aka say MPP for was no more motivation anymore, so they did not let that happen. I can also understand that, but maybe sure say that's how it works. No, it does not. To say I don't think the police are sitting there waiting for the government to sort of like make a grand speech say mon sorry na mon investigation and say no mun your man sorry. Me sure say all the time. Enti discoveries, I don't think say you'll be never shut that tenaso. Obi tenaso that would destroy the evidence, ever compromise the evidence, the chain of command, the BPR. Enti me sure say you'll be na just because of say now previous government they were not interested in the case and no mention any investigation and this government buy and I feel no man discover evidence. It's possible say Ebiana previous government no motive evidence so now say it's possible say we mobile and we use magic and answer some Sherlock Holmes skills be and to make dictate crime scene no who's enough for way that 6 years ago once a year count where Sherlock Holmes in Doctor Who almost kills me and like it doesn't make sense. Me mention that knew what is going on, but I saw theatrical. So let's continue.
Something that I want to say that if you look at how things are going, the NDC may not be perfect. The NDC may not claim perfection. But when we come here to discuss some of these things, even the discussion of Ahmed Suale should remind us of how never to allow a party like the NPP to be in charge of the country. There must be a formidable opposition. We welcome that they will put pressure on us. But I think they do not know how to handle power. They do not know how to handle dissenting opinion. And I pray that what happened to Ahmed Suale should never happen to any journalist. And I also want to encourage the media houses. When some of these things happen, please...
Me, I do not agree or disagree with her, but you are not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to be attacking people like this. Like, why are you doing that? Why are these Democrats? They are always attacking people and then they are always pretending to be victims. Like, I don't understand.
Don't let us discuss them only when there are some of these things happening. You must engage in a consistent campaign so that all political parties will sit up and know that there will be repercussions if you attack journalists.
All right. And if you remember, we all did as media. And Dr. Zato, the narrative...
Onona sa kache, asema okada afi na click on three. Onona sa put for the narrative say NPP for no so mo campaign omo focus on how omo emphasize on the fact say no political party should attack a journalist. That should be their message. Like onona say e kasa as natural was omo new.
Beatrice and Theo is trying to pick today is that was a siege mentality. You couldn't have made commentary if you're a journalist, so to speak, and then even within the public space and go scot-free. And the murder, brutally, of Ahmed Suale, and subsequently we see where we are today, is testament to that atmosphere that was created. You dispute that, don't you?
Good morning, Joe. This morning I want to extend my deepest condolences to the family of Ahmed Suale, and to his colleagues and the people that care a lot about him. He's dead.
In the full name, no. Joshua.
The Muslim.
Joshua. Jebute Zato.
Let's say that they will have to wish him Janatu's fathers. And I hope I've pronounced it very well. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
Amen.
Now, before I delve into the specific Ahmed Suale case,
you have a question.
It's important to address some of the issues that have come because they are important.
Like what?
They're important here. What we've just heard from Honorable Beatrice here is hypocrisy on steroids.
Like
what we've just heard is this early morning
hypocrisy
on steroids. Hypocrisy pro max. Look, The NDC has been in power for just 10 months. One, Abronye DC is a Ghanaian. Say whether you like him or not. This man was put in prison just 10 months. Do you think today, if you ask Abronye DC, he will tell you that everything in this country is honky doky, president? Do you think he will say that?
Is it Abronye?
This is Abronye.
Is it Abronye who was queried by the MPP because of what he said?
Abronye was put in police cells for a misdemeanor. I'm not a lawyer, she is. For the misdemeanor.
If you won't, you see what as a man, the Omube attack first. They know more about almost or me a victim. They are weak. They are weak. Like, what do you want to say? No, to say, if you are bad, you are bad. If you are good, you are good. Don't try to sort of like mask up. Say, oh yes, I'm superhero, some super villain being. You are still a super villain. You understand? Should you my. So should you my. I know the evidence need to be actual. And no poka one kind of myself. Wouldn't kafana say near we wouldn't fan say yampa. It's just an assumption I'm making. Yampa say Ahmed Suale case a political influence. Wouldn't fan say yampa. You see, I'm also the same thing. It is our better TV is not so car. Like imagine how somebody is standing outside would look at you and be like, hey, who you papa? Even though say munye before, we never done anything like that before. And I go kaya and no more program Emma weirdness na encososa. But why you if you move cramo recent and I'm more evidence backed. More person would demonize or modium evidence behind then to the point that I call to Palmer, the yabo. And so still more person watches or moody or moya and any evidence no. Partisans and also.
This man's spent his life to good look. People, almost every Ghanaian you know, came out to appeal against why he was being kept for that. You think today, if you ask Abroja, he will tell you that this whole country just honky-pokey press freedom. Joy FM came out with this thing to do a documentary. It was called Dear John. Dear John Mahama. Pressure came from senior members of government forcing, compelling Joy FM to change that, to change both the picture and the name because it was about the president.
Told you that because it will be aired today.
So yes, pressure came on Joy FM to change that headline today. In this area of press freedom, that this hoax of a press freedom you're talking about.
Pressure?
Particularly, Musa Dakwa did
who put the pressure on Joy?
Senior members of the NDC. Musa Dakwa did a research. Musa Dakwa is a seasoned, is a pollster. He did a poll. Senior members of the NDC came out and told Musa Dakwa that it's too early to do that research. They attacked him. Musa Dakwa has to cry out to say that even under the MPP, he did a lot of polls. Nobody in the MPP ever called him not to do research. That was Musa Dakwa. Mr. Ahoy had to call into Metro TV to chastise a journalist for daring to discuss NDC internal polls.
I made a video about this.
We can go on and on and on about this. That's just a year. So if all these things are happening, you see, it just happened that all this are happening to members of who happen to be MPP. In spite of all these things, if you now come to sit here and now you are trying to tell the whole world that forget, there's nothing to see here, everything is honky-dory, everything is cool, then it tells you that you are there is a mismatch. You are living in an alternative universe that doesn't bear reference. Because all these people, this is I've talked about,
because it's like when you do it, it's okay. But when somebody else do it, it's not okay. Even to the point, say that person hasn't even done it, but still you are trying to force the person to come to do it. You are trying to sort of like force the accusation on the person. But even when you do it, I not if you say why you cry, you haven't done it. Hey, that's my money.
8 months. In the 8 months with the government honeymoon, do you know what happened by election next time? Yes.
Dr. Zato, do you see Atuahoy calling into the Metro TV program and then also reacting to what Paula Dumotre was saying and the subject matter thereof is equitable or could be equal to putting a journalist's photo on air and making utterances ultimately, whether they influence or not, his death is the same.
What I'm saying is that this idea.
One question I will say, no, it is in twofold. Question is suggest to say, yachi chama abronye, media minim ni dimples, and will be a friend. Minim Yeah, me ka ona me hear no video with Madam Nana Jane. Okay. Eti ono no person che say ye chi nipa na tum equal to obi ewu. By we the person ye osifemi asem. Ye chi nipa na tum equal to say obi send obi picture ama ye kunu ana. Enti that means say nipa ko na o send the picture. Ye sad na o ye and then nam no so ama ye kunu. Enti it's not about obi da prison. One against two things. Two things in so cry anhwa enya ba. Like that's the reason America Sakwano you don't lemon. Like where
this idea, this concept that all of a sudden we've just woken up to where the whole media is free, everything is free. It's a lie.
It's a lie.
It's a big hoax and it's a lie. No, these infractions happen, and in fact sometimes they get worse as the governments get older. That is if you look at everything about it, they happen. And they happen because sometimes the journalists or the people themselves may go across the line or something happen. The idea then that all these things are new in the MPP and only happen in the MPP, but then they will not happen. This is wrong. So let me now go to the substantive case. When this issue happened, we politicized it. Not only do we politicize, we over-politicize it. And then the whole country, we engage in what I will refer to as a tunnel vision. Everybody came to the conclusion that Ahmed Suale was murdered because of his work with Tiger Eye. There was just conclusion. So much so that it was then believed that the people who murdered Ahmed Suale were the people he was trying to expose or he had exposed. Invariably, because the people he was exposing were government officials, senior government officials, then it meant that the government had killed him. When you engage in this kind of tunnel vision, you close or you avoid yourself from looking at what we call alternative explanations, from looking at other possible scenarios. And that is what we ran with. So much so the senior opposition members promised the whole world and the whole country that when they come into power, they will find the killers of Ahmed Suale. That when they come to power, they'll find...
Who did that?
Who did that? There's a story here from GNA. GNA, 28th November 2020.
That will find the killers.
He provides evidence. You understand? He provides evidence. So if you decide to agree with this person, you know that you have a backing. When him say, I told you you information as evidence with the idea, they are backing. And the uncle to say, "One our kind, name evidence in the and a kind." Like that is the point. That's the reason why you provide evidence. Because you say you need back for you. And you share them. Like there's the thing that you experience, you share them. And then some people too have experienced some certain things that you have not even think about. And it says some babies are told. Not so fortunate for you if you have read about other people's opinion. That's the reason why we learn. That's the reason why we read books. So, like, if you have read about it, then that means you sort of like dominantly have that kind of experience. Even though that is the first time you are experiencing that kind of situation, but you have read somebody, you have written about it, but somebody has experience from it. So you can sort of like put that person's experience into your experience, and then you sort of perform it. Maybe you might not get the results at that person without much experience, but you might not, fail, or you might have like a higher chance of success compared to somebody without any experience at all. So that is the reason why we provide evidence to back up everything. So which is provide success to answer maybe or find a solution to a certain problem. That's the reason why we find evidence. That is for to sort of like uncover mysteries, like legitly. So you can see that your man, everything that he's saying, he's talking with evidence. He's saying this, he's saying that, he's saying this, he's saying that. If you decide to agree with him, I think you can defend yourself if you are asked questions about the things that he said in public. You can sort of like defend yourself in a confident manner. So let's continue.
34 p.m. The headline is, NDC administration will bring Ahmed Suale's killers to justice. They were quoting His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana. It's a GNA story. Do
you think the manner in which he was killed was fair? And so there has to be a...
Don't lemon. Hey, you see the way he ignored the evidence. Don't lemon.
There's no matter that is fair. There can be no matter that is fair. There can be no killing that is fair. So, but the point I'm making is this, if you let me do, is this tunnel vision we all got into. Because we all just assume that because he was doing work that may be against government officials, that those government officials killed him. And because those government officials killed him, those same government officials could not, or the state could not be depended upon to bring his killers to justice. So the only way he can get justice is if the government is out of power and a new administration comes, then that new administration, because
but the government just came to power.
Yes, they just came to, again, that's the point I'm making. Now you came to power, you now review the evidence, you now took the case course, and the gas is so much pushing then is
in relation to that, and then also trying to justify
the level where the
whether there was a culture of silence.
I've not tried to justify anything.
Okay. The press freedom index is a good indicator.
Yes, it is.
And by 2022, it had dropped sharply.
2022?
Yeah. To 60 to 60 to 66.
Yes.
Subsequently, even by 22, so to speak.
Yes.
And then that had been a concern for everybody else. You don't think that's a concern?
It's a concern. I'm not saying it's not concern.
Because you're a political scientist.
Yes, I've just told you. I'm not saying it's not a concern. I've told you. I've explained.
So what are you saying?
I've explained that. This idea, yes, there were infractions on the journalists. There were some media freedoms rights were trampled upon. I've agreed. I'm not saying that did not happen.
Okay, so you do agree. I do agree.
I do agree that it happened.
You do agree. There's a correlation between the index falling sharply or us doing poorly as a country, and then also Ahmed Suale's murder amid other infractions committed against him.
No, I have no evidence to draw that correlation at all.
Where's the evidence?
But the point I'm making is that it happened, yes. I'm not saying that the media was perfect, everything. I don't know. The way first happened. But the point
anybody who we're journalists, you have a personal life.
I'm making is that we are seeing similar things right now, this early in the administration. 10 months into the administration, we are seeing similar things. And I'm telling you that to the extent of even trying to gag a pollster, an academic, to the extent of telling a whole media house that don't publish the story that you want to publish. I am saying that this is early days yet. But you are seeing the ugly head of this thing rearing up. So if you then sit down, and in fact, a fair analysis would be to say that, look, we've seen it has happened before, and we are beginning to see signs of it. As a country, collectively, we have a duty and a responsibility to make sure that it doesn't happen, to make sure that the press freedom index rises and improves, to make sure that we've got a right to do that. But if the impression you are trying to create is that it was bad here, but all of a sudden, just because the change is saying something magical has happened, all of it is just that's not true. That's not fair. That's the point here, the final what I want to say is that, look, we need to move away from this tunnel vision approach of just thinking that political opponents or enemies had a hand in this guy's murder. We need to move away from that. If I will advise anybody investigating, I will say it is time to investigate by two administrations. And they found absolutely no evidence to link anybody to a murder. But somebody did murder this gentleman. With that, his family and this person needs justice. My point is that it's time for us to begin to look at new theories. It's time for us to look at
tunnel vision theory.
We shall abandon that.
Okay.
It's time for us to begin to look at new routes.
Hey, Aquana Mesa, why don't lemon pep. What's up with that tunnel vision theories there? Okay, thank you very much for joining me on another quite interesting video. The channel's name is Anti-Partisans, and I'm your host, your unfortunate host, Johnson. I hope my confusion blabbering makes sense to you. And as usual, subscribe, like, comment. This is a new channel, but we are all pioneers in a certain way. So this is my pioneering challenge. I am trying to uplift something from the ground, something that basically has been trampled upon. Common sense. These people, they say they have gone to school. Ghana and India, sorry, I'm in school. Sorry, I'm in school. So everything has become a title now, without the responsibility or the merit. Like, so I don't blame anybody too. We are all trying to survive. I am here, a graduate, so I can see myself to be that kind of a victim of that kind of system. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to hold people responsible. So it just means that it is a condition that I find myself in. So I have to do something about it. Eventually I will. But for now, just assist me and subscribe, like, and comment. Thank you. And see you in the next video.